Hi, I am Akshay Patel. When people are driving on the road, they have to be careful and follow all traffic laws and rules of the road. However, some people's driving skills begin to decrease with the increase of age. The number of accidents caused by elderly people are beginning to rise. If you have a child, each time you see him or her walk out the door to drive to the grocery store or anywhere else in town, could be the last time you see your child? This morbid thought can become true if a person who is unable to drive is on the road. Almost everyone drives. To get from one place to another, people mainly drive their automobile to their destination. It's quick and relatively easy. However, the road can be a dangerous place when bad drivers are on it. It's important to know who you are sharing the road with. As someone who has been in a car while an elderly person hit the back of my vehicle, I know the full experience of being on the bad side of the spectrum. Accidents caused by elderly people are beginning to rise, and more people need to be informed about the dangers of elderly people driving. I would like to draw your awareness by presenting information on how elderly people driving puts people at risk, how this can be prevented, and how real life situations have changed people's lives. First, let's discuss how elderly people driving puts others at risk. People are put at risk when elderly drivers are on the road. I am going to relay a story from the National Institute on Aging. At age 78, Sheila thinks she's a good driver because she likes the independence of getting around town on her own. However, in the past year, she has had several close calls and new dents that come out of nowhere. She doesn't know how they got there, and Sheila begins to wonder how she can stay safe behind the wheel. Sheila is just one of those many elderly people who should not be on the road. Near misses are chances that no one should take. One slight mistake and a once near miss can turn into the loss of someone's life. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, an average of 586 older adults are injured each day in car crashes. I'm sure almost everyone has met their grandparent before, though many elderly people die each year due to car accidents. In 2012, there were at least 15 deaths every day of elderly people due to car accidents. Most people have a fun-filled life with their grandparents. However, that can all be taken away with a slight mistake on the road. You can also help to change this. If you know of any elderly people, you can encourage them to follow safe traffic laws and tell them to drive safe only during the best conditions. I believe that people over the age of 75 and older should not be allowed to drive. This will ultimately reduce the number of car accidents caused by elderly people. According to NIH Senior Health, driving errors can lead to traffic accidents, injuries, and death. The risk of crashes rises with age, especially after the age of 75. According to USA Today in 2015, people over the age of 75 begin to decline in mental health. Their responses become slower in unexpected situations, they get lost in familiar locations, and it is easier to become distracted while driving. Driving is a complicated task. It is also very demanding. People must pay close attention to other cars, signals, and signs. They must also be able to have very good judgment over speed and distances. Lou Ron writes in 2007, older drivers are more likely to have an accident than their younger counterparts. For example, older drivers are 16% likelier to cause a crash than their adult drivers are. By taking people over the age of 75 off the road, I believe that the number of accidents will begin to decline. Overall, the safety of all the drivers on the road will increase with the removal of elderly people. Too many people are dying from close mistakes. Start spreading awareness about the dangers of elderly people driving to help keep others safe. My solution is to remove people over the age of 75 from the road. With my solution, I know the impact would be immediate. There will be less crashes on the road, as there will only be drivers with efficient minds on the road. Older drivers make too many mistakes, and the road is not a place for mistakes. I'm going to tell a story of Lorraine McCaig. She was an 88-year-old lady who drove every day to her favorite restaurant. However, one day became her last drive. Lorraine loved to eat at her favorite restaurant, the Dolly restaurant. She went there every day and ordered the same menu item. On her usual drive to the restaurant, she was redirected to another route because of a fire that blocked her path. Initially, Lorraine attempted to pass the traffic barrier, but police redirected her. Even though she lived in the same town, Detroit, for many years, she became lost and ended up crashing in front of a fire station. In 2014, USA Today reported that as a result, there was damage to the front end of the car, and Lorraine was found a small distance away from her car. She was alive when the police found her. However, she died several hours later at the hospital. Lorraine's sad story is one of many elderly people who die from their own driving skills. This is why I propose that people over the age of 75 years should not be allowed to drive. Even though my proposal is only to a small amount of people, we can all take our part to spread this message, so there will not be any more stories like Lorraine's. To conclude, we have gone over why people are at risk, how this risk can be prevented, and examples of sad situations. While my proposal does not have an effect right now, change can still happen. You can take the time to inform anyone you know who is elderly to be careful while on the roads. Also, if you know of anyone over the age of 75, encourage them to stay off the roads. I have taken the time out of several of my days to advocate my position on elderly drivers. I have also related my information and advice to all of the elderly drivers that I know. This information is very important. While you are not an elderly driver, a member of your family is. The person behind you while you're driving could also be an elderly driver who is not paying attention to the road. The person in front of you, the person while you are at a red light, the person from the side that has a red light and you have a green light could come crashing down onto the side of your car. Precious lives can be taken if all of us do not act now and spread this information. Thank you for listening to my speech. I hope you enjoyed it.